What's up, guys? It's your boy Jordan back here with another video. In today's video, we're back here with our Minecraft hardcore series, where I pretty much talk to you all about different topics that you provide down in the description down below. If you do have a topic idea, not only for what we could do for the video or for me to be able to talk about, just say it in the description down below. Furthermore, we do have some spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, I highly advise you to not only watch the last video, but also skim through some of the live streams in the past, because we really did a lot, and I mean a lot of things that we did. But in today's video, before we talk about anything, before we do anything, I kind of want to be able to give a rundown of everything that we did. So let's go ahead, buckle our seatbelts up, and 3, 2, 1. Yes, guys, so much has happened since last time. And in fact, last time the only thing that we did was work on the castle, and after we worked on the castle, that was the end of the last episode. So before we go any further, before we go within the topic, I kind of just want to be able to get everybody else up to speed who just specifically watch the YouTube videos and not look at the live streams. Again, I'm going to provide a pop-up right here of everything that we do within the live streams. But yeah, so first things first, we got a horse. We did some exploring and we found a horse. We found we got a lead from the traveling salesman, and I was like, you know what? Let's just go on ahead and get a horse. Next thing I want to be able to talk about is some of these farms that we came up with. This is a sugarcane farm, as you all know. When it comes to getting when it comes to getting diamond armor, you have to be able to have enchants for it, and to be able to enchant things, you got to be able to have books. So as you can see, we have an automated sugarcane farm. Also, you can kind of see in the glimpse right there, we found a cherry blossom tree. We found a couple of them, but before we go any further, I want to go ahead and go to sleep. And then right in front of us, yes, you can see it. This is our way of being able to get to and from the castle. This was the first thing that we did within the live stream. We pretty much made an automatic water elevator. So of course this one goes down and this one goes up. Look how fast this goes. Guys, this is probably my most proud invention that I made out of everything. And we made a little balcony area for us to be able to go within our castle as well. And this is a great way for us to be able to understand or see what's around us. Furthermore, right there, as you can see, we have a cow farm, because we got to be able to get leather for the upcoming enchantment tables. And again, we got some other stuff that I want to be able to show you as well. So of course you go up in here, we got a ladder to be able to reach the top. I'm not going to go all the way up to the top. We have an automatic fishing farm. Don't really need it anymore because of everything that's been going on. So yeah, we have this, and you might be asking yourself, how do we get soul sand? We made our nether portal, which our nether portal is on the second floor. I probably should have shown y'all that. But yeah, so we got a cow farm as well. There's also a village on the other side of here. I'm not going to show it in this episode. I don't think. I do want to show it in the next episode though. But yeah, so that's pretty much all that we've done so far. I really despise cow noises, man. They're actually so obnoxious. But yeah, also wow, actually, this is not good at all. You need to probably go ahead and get rid of these. But yeah, so over here is a... this wasn't a good way of dealing with this, but... Run away. Alright, so we also found a... Let me light this up. This is why they're coming here. But we also found a... What is this called? Not a stronghold. I forget the name of it. Y'all tell me in the description down below. But yeah, we found one of these. And in today's episode, we're going to actually go further down, because not only did we find one of these, but there was a spawner. That one has a poison spider spawner. Or a cave spider spawner. I'm not going through all of that. There is one underneath though that has a regular spider spawner, and I think that'll be a great way for us to be able to get XP, because right now we have 24, but we want to be able to get more than that. So that pretty much gives us a clear indicator of what we're going to be doing in today's episode. So in today's episode, the first thing that we are going to do, and probably the only thing for this episode, because I really want these YouTube videos to be a lot shorter, is we're going to be making an XP spider spawner. And I really like the sound of that because it's a great way for us to get XP. It's a great way for us to get string. We could use string for wool when it comes to finding the warden spot. I don't know the name of the warden spot, but I do know that the warden spawns there. So being able to find spots for that, wool is a great way to nullify any noise for those who know specifically everything that goes within there. And then another key aspect of it is, okay, yeah, I gotta remember how we get there. Yeah. And another key aspect of that is being able to have string in general will be so great for fishing, because again, I do have that automatic fishing farm, and being able to find books and things of that nature is also great. Furthermore, we also found a village. I'm pretty sure I already said that we found the village, but it's not bad to talk about again. So yeah, I did some exploring in the live stream. Again, the live stream will be in the description down below if you want to watch it. But I had pretty much cleared over here, and look, we found a regular just a regular spider spawner. So today's video, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it said it needs to be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to extend this out by 1, I believe. And we need to make sure that this is a 9 by 9. But yeah, so this is a great time for us to be able to talk about what will be the topic for today's video. I mean, it's a great topic. So in fact, in my Discord DMs, I'm going to show it on the screen now, but probably one of, if not my biggest supporters, Mid Juggler, he also has a membership. So if you would like to be a member, what you can do is join channel membership. And once you join channel membership, that's just you displaying your support even more by deciding to become a member of my channel. But yeah, so Juggler, what he asked was, he was like, okay, in today's episode, let's talk about focusing on the future. You talked a little bit about it within time management, but it would be great for you to, talk about it a little bit more, because talking about the future is a big step, especially when it comes down to you all's lives. So I think I want to be able to start that off with coming up with an analogy. Let's say that you have two different types of people, right? You have one person who's a naturally ubiquitous person. This person is, okay, we live life normally. You only live once, that YOLO mindset. So because of it, I'm going to have fun. And because I'm going to have fun, that means I don't really care what's going on for what's in the future. I just want to live in the moment, and that is honestly a very terrible mindset to live with. Why? Because let's say that you decide to live in the moment. Let's say that you go to college, you start living in the moment, you start living out dreams. You're able to go to parties every single night. You're able to drink, smoke, and do all the things that you want to do without, of course, your parents telling you in your ear, okay, this isn't good for you, X, Y, and Z. Well, this is ubiquitous. This is the lifestyle that majority of people, they tend to live. But let me tell you the downside for that. Let's say that you also have the other person, where this person looks at things in the future. This person decides to calculate what they want to do next. This person decides that, okay, all my actions have consequences, and if I decide to be ahead of the game, if I decide to move forward, if I decide to focus on my future, on things that can happen within the future, guess what? I can inevitably and essentially guide my destiny, right? And let's say that this person, they go to college, they lock in, they ensure that at the end of the day that their academics come first before anything else. Like I said in last episode, their priorities. Guess what? They decide, or they don't decide, they inevitably get a high paying job. Why do they get a high paying job? Because their priorities came first. They got all A's. They're displaying to future job applications, or people who are doing job applications. They're they're displaying to them that they can be, very responsible adults, and they can do everything that they're supposed to do, things of that nature. And that's great. You know what I mean? That's what they are looking for. They are looking for people who they know that if they assign for them tasks and things of that nature, guess what? They assign them the task, and guess what? You're going to do the task. No questions asked. We just found some diamonds. That's great. But they're going to assign the task, no questions asked. They're going to do everything that they were assigned to do. And that's great. You know what I mean? Because now, not only did you go through college and you just went, I need to make a new pickaxe. Not only did you go through college and you surpassed it at such great lengths, but now you are in a predicament where you have a high paying job, you're getting six figures, you're living your big one, right? And this is something that I really want y'all to think about when it comes to looking at things in the future. You get a high paying job, and guess what? Now you only have to work X amount of years. And in fact, it could be a lot less because, I mean, think about it. You don't have to work a whole bunch because you're getting paid that much. You're able to retire a lot quicker. You're able to ensure that your family, when it decides to be able to start a family, you have the finances for a family. I mean, mentally, you're in a great space too because, I mean, you don't have to worry about the finances. And I mean, whether or not you want to agree, if your finances are great, guess what? Your mentality is great. And that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration when it comes down to the decisions that they make. In fact, they want to live in the moment. Oh, I want to be able to be happy now. I want to be able to ensure that everything works the way that it's supposed to now. But the inevitable truth is things aren't going to go the way that you expected. We kind of talked about that in previously. But while things don't always go the way that you expect them to go, oh my gosh, more diamonds. While things don't happen the way that you expect for them to go, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can in some way, shape, or form dictate how things are moving within your life. And what do I mean by that? A great example of that is, let's say, school. You can guarantee yourself to get a full ride to college. How? Ensure that you get great grades within the school, your GPA is high, and you have to work on your SAT and SAT scores. This is for specifically those who are in high school. Once you are working on that, once you're making sure that those are high enough, guess what? I mean, you're going to be able to get a full ride to school. And guess what? That means you don't have to worry about student loans. But it's with that mindset that you are looking at things in the future to ensure that you won't have to go through the same ubiquitous things that everybody else go through, right? When student loans go through, guess what? That means that now you're in a financial deficit. You're in a financial disparity, one that you could possibly prevent in case that you decide to not only choose a great college for you, but also ensure that your grades are the way that they're supposed to be. So now a lot of people, they get pushed into this predicament where they are in a financial deficit way before they're even able to start, their careers. You know what I mean? You're in a financial deficit, and now it's okay, I got to be able to find a way to ensure that I'm not put in this predicament where I'm stressed out, because normally that's kind of the way that I did not place those, but that's kind of the way that it kind of happens. You start getting stressed because you don't have the funds, things of that nature, and it ends up hurting you. So that's why I'm telling a lot of people now is look at things in the future. When you're looking at things in the future, look at what happens when I do these things. At the end of the day, if you can instill within your brain, and I mean this when I say this, but every action has a consequence, you will be able to neglect majority of the problems that happens with everybody else. And why do these problems happen with everybody else? Because everybody wants to live in the moment. And you don't want to live in the moment. In fact, that's the one thing that you don't want to do, because you decide to live in a moment. You live based off your emotions instead of your mindset, instead of the brain, the cognizance that you were blessed with to ensure that you can have those right capabilities. And that's what I really want y'all to recognize too, is that you don't live off of emotions. You live based off, oh yeah, we're going the right way. You live based off of what's the best idea dependent on the situation that's going on. If you decide to live off your emotions, emotionally, it might be the thing of, oh well, I'm so drained. I'm, not in the headspace to work out the way that I'm supposed to work. And the inevitable truth is it will become an everlasting loop. What do I mean by that? Stress, or let's say depression, and depression, that's another topic. I personally don't believe in depression, but I do know people who can be depressed. I think depression is a one-to-one thing. It is dependent on who the person is. Some people, they believe in depression. I personally don't believe in depression, because I believe that depression is a mindset. If you instill yourself with the ideology that I can be depressed, then guess what? You can be depressed. The same way that I view that, in life, if you believe that you can lose, something, you allow that negativity to work within your mindset, and because of that, there is a chance that you could be able to lose. You know what I mean? So that's the way that I feel with depression. I know it's a pretty controversial topic, and that's not what we're talking about in today's episode. Therefore, I'm not going to go into depth, but I'm going to bring back up that topic, that, specifically when it comes down to becoming stressed. You have eustress, which is great stress. This is the stress that's naturally good for you. And you have, we're just going to call it stress, which is the bad stress that is can have, and majority of the time will have, that negative impact on you, right? So you have to be able to recognize that, normally when you're stressed and you get into that mindset of, okay, I'm stressed, it will constantly cycle over and over again until you find an optimal way of being able to deal with that stress. And a lot of the times, people, when they get stressed, they come up with suboptimal ways to deal with that stress. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people's gateway to be able to not experience reality is they decide to smoke, or they decide to drink. And I mean, if you're erudite enough to be able to recognize that a lot of people, they get addicted to these things and they inevitably try to stop doing these things, right? You can recognize that it's a bad thing as well. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world to be able to recognize that drinking and smoking and things of that nature, whether it be vaping, things of that nature, they're not good for you. If you're doing those things, I would highly advise for you to stop them. And if you are addicted and you would like a tutorial, or not necessarily a tutorial, but an episode on how to be able to stop addictions, depending on the addiction, whatever it may be, again, I can go into depth for that as well. But inevitably, you don't want to go through those things. And so going back to the original topic, one of the things that, when it comes down to stress, that ends up happening is you start getting stressed, and then it becomes an underlying cycle. Okay, it becomes an underlying cycle, and you don't have 1, 2, 3. Oh, I gotta go one more higher. But you don't have the keys to being able to understand, how am I going to be able to get out of this, because you're so stressed. So if there's a way that you're able to prevent stress from it before it even happens, be able to try to be able to figure out that way in advance so you won't get stressed. There's studies that show, specifically within college, that a lot of people within college, they become so stressed because of the financial disparity that they get into when they decide to go college. And for those who are younger, the biggest, if there's not anything else that you gather from today's video, this one thing I need for you to be able to recognize. If there's a way for you, if you do decide that you want to go to college, if there's a way for you to mitigate or to completely assuage the amount of money that you have to spend when it comes to college, when it comes down to loans, please ensure that you're doing that. So again, as I said earlier, make sure that you are prioritizing these grades. Make sure that you're looking at things calculated in the futuristic sense, because I mean, think about it. You won't have to be able to pay for college. You can push that money towards something else to, you could push that money towards something else, and that money could be saved. That money could be incorporated into a different, like I said, a different project or a different idea. And again, that's a great way to be able to look at it. Once you be able to recognize that, you start moving forward in the right direction, and things start working the way that it needs to do, things like that. But in order for it to happen, you have to make sure that you're doing everything that you're supposed to do first, right? And I think that's a great way to be able to look at it. Look at the analogy that I talked about earlier. If you look at things as a thing of, okay, what I want to do now, you're going to suffer at the end of the day, right? That's why I talked about in last episode, let's work hard now so we can live those fruitful harvests later. You sow those seeds now of integrity, of discipline, of ambition now, and guess what? You won't have to work till you're 60, 65 years old. You won't have to work till then. You can be able to retire at 30 or 40 years old because you've worked so hard, and you're working when nobody else is working, that it ends up working in your favor. And this is another topic that I really want to talk about before we get to this spawner. Right now, more than ever, it is probably the easiest time, and I mean this when I say this, it's probably the easiest time for you to be successful than anybody else. And why do I say this? It's because so many people around you are so lazy. They are so lazy. They sit on their butt all day. They're procrastinators. They're last minute. They're all of these things. And guess what? What they don't do, you should be doing. That's one way to look at life. What they aren't doing is what you should be doing. What people aren't doing, they aren't studying for their exams. They're last minute people. They aren't getting A's on their tests. And that's not to be able to say that in the future they don't get those things, but they have to work harder, right? Of course, my mindset is a little different about this person today because of the underlying things that he's done in the past, if you know about him. But Kobe Bryant, he's a great example of the Mamba mentality. He's the great example of work at 100% all the time. So guess what? I don't have to work 120%, because guess what? I'm working at 100% all the time. I'm going into the lab at 5, 6 a.m., right? And I'm working on my dribbling, I'm working on my handles, making sure that it's up to par where it's supposed to be. So when I'm going and I'm competing against the best, guess what? I'm going to be better because I'm working more than them. And another great analogy that I really want y'all to think about is think of the tortoise and the hare, right? We all know about the tortoise and the hare. We know that the tortoise ends up winning the race because the tortoise never stops. But let's misconstrue this story, for instance. Let's say that the hare never stops. What happens? The tortoise doesn't have a chance. Now think of the ubiquitous people, the people that you see every single day, the people who are in college now, who decides to go out to these parties every single night, who decides to wait last minute to study, who decides to not be able to come up with proactive activities to ensure that their future self, the things that they do in the future, are going to be grandiose, great, right? Think of them as the tortoise. Why? Because I mean, they just live in life so slowly. They're living in the moment. They aren't really improving themselves. They aren't really trying to figure out ways how they can improve themselves relationally, whether it be relationships with the Lord or the relationships with the people around them, or emotionally, how they can ensure that instead of going based off their emotions, doing actions out of emotions, out of feelings, they're doing things out of facts, out of the logic that has been instilled within their brain. Or maybe financially, how they can ensure that they won't get within financial disparities. Or if they are in a financial disparity, how can they ensure that they don't get in that, or they can get out of that financial disparity? You know what I mean? Or physically, when they're trying to improve on their strength, how can they get stronger? How can they get more aesthetically pleasing? Or spiritually, to ensure that their perception on life is within a spiritual presence. These are the things that you really need to ensure that you're looking at when it comes to working on things in the future. And think about it. The hare is better than a tortoise in every single category because they have been gifted that way. The hare is gifted to be fast, right? And there's a lot of people around you who they could be physically gifted, they could be mentally gifted, but they don't have that compassion. They don't have that passion in general to get to where that they want to be. And guys, I'm telling you now, if you can make sure that you calculate your steps, and above all else, if you are a Christian, if you're not, I completely understand, but if you allow the Lord to order your steps, guys, I'm telling you, it's going to change the way that life in general becomes. Because the truth, again, I talked about this last episode, everybody isn't of equal value. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but everybody isn't of equal value. I'm supposed to be playing the game, but I'm getting into this mindset, but everybody isn't of equal value. You want to know why I say this? Let's say that you have two individuals. Let's say, for instance, you have a secretary. They have high power because of the role that they are in. Let's say that we have a homeless person, right? Now, at the end of the day, let's say that both of them die. Guess who's going to get all the applause? Guess who's going to get, oh, this person was X, Y, and Z. Oh, this person, they did so much, this, that, and the other. The secretary. Why? Because their value is unequivocally more than the homeless person. And it's a terrible way to look at life because, I mean, as we're all born babies, so our value is all the same. But the actions that you deal with in life, those can either dwindle your value or it can augment your value for you to reach those next levels. And when it comes down to calculating what you're doing in a futuristic lens, in a futuristic sense, I'm here to tell you now, if you want to ensure that those things are working the way that it's supposed to work, and you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, you're calculating your steps, you will be ahead of 99% of everybody. Because that 1% of people, guess what they're doing? They're calculating their steps. They're calculating their steps. They're trying to see, what can I do to ensure that my next step will prevail and will be the right thing moving forward. And that's pretty much all that I have to be able to talk about it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Ensure that when it comes down to calculating, when it comes down to the futuristic sense, don't think about things that you're doing in the moment, right? Right now, I'm recording a YouTube video, but in the future, I plan to plant seeds in all of you all to instill that mentality within you all to be able to think about the things that you do, right? That's the future sense, right? Because I want y'all to go out into the world and be great people. I want y'all to go out into the world and spread that light. That's always been my message. Spread that light to somebody, because there could be darkness that enshrouds them. and they won't necessarily see it because it's darkness surrounding them. Be this torch. You see this torch right here? This torch is what's encompassing the light between this entire room. Of course, there's a torch there. But this torch specifically is what's encompassing this entire room. You break it, guess what starts to happen? Mob spawn. That's the devil that lurks. That's the negativity that runs, that goes rampant. And once you start getting into the darkness, it's hard to get out the darkness. You don't want to know why? Because there's more darkness than there is light. The sun only shines 12 hours out the day, and it's not even really 12 hours. Realistically, let's say that the sunrise is 6:50 a.m. The sun sets at 5. So 11 hours out the day, the sun is up. There's sometimes clouds. There's sometimes storms. And that ruins the full light as well. You know, you have to be able to have electricity to be able to have the darkness that used to be darkness. I mean, a lot of y'all might not be biblical, but the earth was just the earth. And the Lord said, let there be light, and light encompassed the earth. In the same way it goes with positivity and negativity. Ensure that you're being positive. Ensure that you're being that light for people in the darkness that enshrouds them. And you do that, I kid you not, the world would be a better place. But we have too many people now who are so focused on themselves. They're so focused on themselves. They're so selfish on themselves that they don't realize that they can have a greater impact. And I want you to have a greater impact. I want you to be able to go to school if you plan on going to school. Even if you decide to go to trade school, there's scholarships for trade school. If you decide to go to college, guess what? A way that you could go to college for free, I told you already. You go to college. You get your education. It don't matter if you're black. It don't matter if you're white. It don't matter if you're Hispanic. It don't matter if you're Chinese. It don't matter if you're Indian. All of the above. It doesn't matter what you are. You are the key to the door. You are the author of your own story. And one way to ensure that your story goes the right way is by looking at things in a futuristic lens. That's pretty much it. So now, since we are done with this topic, I kind of want to be able to change the trajectory of this video. I want to be able to, build this spawner that we have here. So we kind of have everything that we need to have it the way that we have. By the way, we got 10 diamonds in that extravagant talk, so that means we can finally get full diamond armor. We'll have 38 total diamonds, and we'll also have a diamond left to be able to have the enchantment table and put the rest up in here. But what we need is I suck at this game, but what we really need to be able to have is a 5 going up here. Of course, this torch here, so it's 4 here, and we need to have 3 underneath. Now, I do have a video up here, so I'm going to be able to show the video as well. And instead of me doing a whole bunch of cutting, I'm not going to do a whole bunch of cutting. What I'm going to just end up doing is just allow for it to be raw footage, and then I guess there will be some cutting. So let me go ahead and check how this is. All right, so just going to place water buckets on each side. All right, we got water buckets on each side, so I think we have to actually, I don't want it this way. I don't want it this way, and the reason why I say this is because I would love it this way. If I could pickaxe this stuff through here and then have it closer towards me where I'm at, this is the way that I would like it. Also, I didn't notice how loud water was, but it is somewhat loud. So yeah, this is going to be our XP farm, guys. Is this right? I don't think that this is right. This isn't right. You know why this isn't right? I did all this talking and I was supposed to branch this out one more time. Chat, this is why you don't yap all the time, alright? Let's put this back up. And let's branch this out one more. But yeah, so also this is a great time to be able to talk about it. But guys, last episode, I know I have, my YouTube video that's blowing up right now. Right now it's at 3.7 million views. It's probably going to hit 4 million. All glory up to the Most High that it reaches past 4 million and it continues to keep going. But guys, like, the amount of support that we got on last video, 4,000 views in last video, it's just great, right? It's just great. It's just great. It's just great the way that it's all working out and the way that it's moving. I can't be any more happier than I already am, because it's just the Lord always works out the way that he does. But yeah, so this is a great time to be able to say, if you have a specific idea, topic that you want me to, delineate within the next episode, just go ahead down in the description down below and talk about it. I do think that this was probably my best topic that I talked about it, because I feel so strongly about decision making and being logical when it comes down to decision making. And I believe a lot of the problems that people have today is that they are so emotionally tuned with decision making. And again, let me reiterate now, because a lot of people will be like, wait, Jordan, so does that mean I can't use my emotions when it comes to decisions? That's not what I'm saying at all. Using your emotions is great, but you have to be able to look at discipline. A lot of people aren't disciplined, and by definition, discipline is doing the things that I don't want to do, even though they need to be done, and you inevitably doing it, right? A lot of people, they aren't disciplined. They don't want to do those things. And what I'm saying is, yeah, it might suck, but guess what? You need to do those things. Be disciplined to do those things, because you start to look at things in the long run. Once you start getting intertwined with that discipline, you start to recognize how, everything works out. So I'm going to go ahead and move this way. The reason why is because I probably want to keep this enclosed. Dang, bro, this pickaxe is about to break again, man. This is treacherous. Quite cataclysmic that I'm going through this, but it is what it is. Alright, so now we should be able to place our water here, but we rotten flesh here. Oh yeah, these are the rest of the items that we need. So, all right. So now I think we break all of this, and once we break all of this, we should be equal now. Yep, there we go. Again, symmetry. If anything isn't symmetric, that's where we normally have those issues at. So if it's not symmetric, that's an issue. All right. So now I think break them where the water is. Great. Looks like we're using our diamond pickaxe once again. All right. So now we got some water. Now what does he want next? I think we need to break this. 3x3, right? Something like that. I'm trying to remember how these things were. And I think it's way more than a 3x3, but. And I think once we do the 3x3.
3x2 room.
Or 3x2 is correct. This is not good looks. Perfect. Boom. One here. Boom. All right. So now, since we did that behind us, we need to break more behind us, and I think we need to be able to. How far behind us do we need to be is the question. I mean? Alright, so I'm pretty sure we break all of this behind us, right? Walls go here. Alright, we're at where we need to be. Where's my chest at? Perfect. Wait, how do I make it to where... There used to be a way to make it to where it's just one chest, right? There we go. And then I'm pretty sure we're going to have to place the hoppers back here. Alright, this is going to make me mad. Boom, boom, boom. Can I get through this? Think so. We don't need this shovel right now. Two, three, four. Let's break everything else. Alrighty, theoretically what should happen is all I have to do is break this, place the fence. Perfect. And then, alright, hold on, buddy. Alright, perfect. Break this. Alright, back up. Perfect. Now place this here. Boom. And boom. Boom. And I think we... Oh, wait, we did this wrong. Like that. And then we gotta go back down one more. Perfect. So if we decide not to go through this way, and we go right here, this is perfect. Or we could go through this way. And to note that it's this way, I'm gonna place this here and remove that. Alright, so yeah, the reason was because I just didn't break the right thing. Alright, so let's fix this. This is not the right way. Why are you just not... Can you lock in for me, please? Perfect. And then... Hey, chat. Now we should just be able to hit them. For some reason, it's not collecting the stuff. But to be fair, it is an XP farm first. It's still supposed to be collecting the stuff. Why did it not collect that, though? Oh, well, to be fair, they died right there, and I killed them right there. Okay, this is fine. But yeah, chat, so that's pretty much what I wanted to do for this episode. We fortunately got everything the way that we needed it to go. I'm probably gonna give me some cobblestone stairs to get down here so I can have an adequate way of going up and down. I don't really like going up and down this way specifically, but I mean this is pretty great. You know, we made a farm. We got everything. Yeah, I'm gonna just go up to the surface. I'm probably just gonna keep this AFK farm working the way that it needs to while I'm down here breaking stuff. Of course, it's gonna waste durability, but it's gonna give us XP. And I think what we'll do next episode, no matter what, because I mean, we actually have the stuff for it, is we're going to we're going to lock in. We're going to go to the nether. Or if we don't go to the nether, I might go live stream us in the nether with full armor, right? With full diamond armor, since we actually have enough diamonds. Like, we actually went crazy with the diamonds in today's episode. It's actually like a substantially great episode, man. Had a great topic talking about, you know, looking at things in a futuristic lens. Not only that, I was able to inform y'all everything that's going on. Life's been great. The videos have been doing amazing on YouTube. That was another story that I didn't even get to talk to y'all about, but YouTube decided to crash when I was actually in my peakest moment. I'll talk about that in a little bit in the episode after if I remember. But again, in life, you just have to be able to keep moving forward despite some of the things that goes on. Got to be able to toughen up and got to be able to keep moving forward. But yeah, again, had a great episode. This episode did a lot for it. But yeah, in the next episode, you should see me in full diamond armor. I might enchant some stuff in advance, like uh, depending on it. Hopefully, I can get me a fishing rod that gives me luck of the sea and mending or something crazy like that. And shoot, if I could get me that, guys, that's going to be great. But yeah, so it's been a very fruitful episode. Extremely, extremely fruitful episode. Went through a lot in today's episode. Might be able to get me a diamond axe now. Now we're at 29. Yeah, shoot, we can pretty much level up. Like, level up a lot. Let me make sure that I put all this stuff back. Put this back here. We have way too much cobblestone. Like, in unproportionate amount. But now we'll have XP and stuff like that. 62. All that there. I'm not gonna be able to find mostly tough. I mean, since just tough, I guess we'll keep it there. But yeah, I'm not gonna keep y'all any longer. It's been a immaculate episode. Um, like I said, I just hope that y'all have an amazing day. By the time y'all get this, it'll probably be on Saturday. Great Saturday morning upload. And yeah, so talked about again what we did in this episode. I'm not going to keep saying it, but I hope that y'all will have an amazing rest of y'all day. Y'all make sure to keep the Lord first. Be the light for somebody in the darkness that they have. Keep on moving forward. Keep keep grinding, keep grinding. I'll see y'all in the next one. God bless. Y'all make sure to keep God first. See y'all.